instead of the usual cryptic gloom and doom?
Well, useful would be, obtain silver. We're going to be hitting a period of hyperinflation where small precious metals and food stores will be very valuable, as will energy. Of course, don't be silly and don't store gasoline in your house, kind of thing.
Some will.
Some will, no doubt. I mean, people are constantly silly.
Some communities, and there are great books. You can learn to survive under unbelievably adverse conditions if you just start building your library up.
Yeah, make a way and thrive. Yeah.
Yeah.
My big deal is let's just abandon these the corrupt. Well, I'm like Richard Sauter. I get really offended by the fact that these people are stealing from us constantly.
Oh, he has just gone nuts over these people.
No, he's become a very passionate. He's not nuts. I think.
No. I didn't say
I'm a linguist. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get on your case about it, but linguistically, he's become very passionate and focused on a very terrible evil. Not only are they stealing from us, but they're lying to us about the theft, and then they're not even sharing any of the bounty of this huge new environment that they're creating. And the rest of us are basically cattle. And that's how they're treating us. Well, I think the cattle are starting to wake up, and some of us got some horns and sharp hooves.
Mary in Independence, Missouri. Hello, Mary. Go ahead.
Hi, George. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you have these boys on. I know all of you are a lot younger than I am. But, George, first of all, thank you for having Kathleen on the other evening. And because I guess I'll have to take my canning utensils out and start canning all over again. The reason why I called, I got on the tail end on, you said something about the revolution, about a revolution. Do you think because of these groups like the Tea Partiers and people like that are getting into these groups, do you think that's where it's going to start? And I'll take my answer off the air. Thank you.
I actually think that the revolution will start by accident, and it won't be quite like the previous American Revolution. And I think that the accident probably will come out of some form of suffering in the sense of a food riot. And conditions will just get out of hand. Someone will take the lead, and there you go. There's your next George Washington.
Well, I was in Detroit during the riots back in the '67, and same thing, just got out of hand.
Yeah, it wasn't planned. The chaos. I was in the currency exchange in France in the early '60s. One new franc for 5 old francs, and people just freaked. And the whole country was in a state of mass panic and riots for months.
Let's go next to Craig in Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, Craig, good morning.
Oh, good morning, George and Clif. I got to say, Mr. Norrie has some fine shows, but this is certainly one of the tops.
Oh, George, no, I think he blew it with us. I mean, he had such a week going here.
No, this is...
and he got
Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because... you're putting out such a wonderful, positive message where people are thinking it's doom and gloom, but you're actually telling them what to do and how to prepare. And
well, I appreciate that. It's nice of you to notice.
My question is, some of the things you've mentioned, all fascinating, but let's go back to the shadow government thing, and you call them they.
Yeah.
So who are they? Are you willing to talk about who they are?
Well,
will you talk about Rothschilds and Rockefellers?
Sure. The Red Shield crowd. Yeah. Anybody associated with
central banks?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say but there's a curious part about this. Those guys may actually be the left behind. There appears to be a shadow organization or shadow government that was so deep that it's actually formed a breakaway civilization. And I don't know that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, those guys, I don't think they control them anymore. And I think they're really pissed about it.
Is this bigger than them?
I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, consider the fundamental changes that have happened in governance of the USA since the Great Depression George.
No. Let's stop and let's just cut to the chase. Sorry, George. We just don't have that much time.
Oh, that's right. We don't have time.
Okay. We've got Ed Grimsley out there with these goggles.
Yeah.
I've got a pair of those things, and I'm up here in the Northwest, latitude 47 and north. So I don't get to see much because there just isn't much activity. And I've seen tons of crud.
Something's going on.
All kinds of stuff that I haven't been able to explain.
Yep.
There's a potentially a war going on up over our heads. This is much bigger than David Rockefeller and any of the Red Shield crowd. It's much bigger than the Queen of England and Queen Beatrix out of Holland. And those are some of the top criminals on the planet. This is bigger than the Nazi Pope, Ratzinger, all of this is much larger than any of this, and all these people on the planet here, they're in the minion class. Even the Rockefellers, I think, are merely minions of a greater authority that they know now is leaving them behind.
Maui in Hawaii. Hello, Rose, first-time caller. You're on.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
My mind just went blank. I got unexpected company a couple minutes ago, so.
That's okay. My mind is continuously blank. It's a pretty good state to be in these days.
Anyway, Mr. Norrie, this is another outstanding show. It's just been phenomenal this week, and
they're
my
great
question,
people.
Oh, wonderful! For Cliff and George, there are. What is the thing we need to prepare ourselves most for this year?
In your situation in the islands, I would really consider the idea that the feeder valve that is creating the Hawaiian Islands may act as the pivotal point for this crack of the Pacific Plate. If that's the case, I don't think the Hawaiian Islands themselves are at risk, but I think that the tsunami spreads out from there. And from then on, you could calculate maybe there might be a washback or something along these lines.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been telling my friends here that I've been seeing tsunami. Yeah, so I sound like all these other callers. Yeah, it's coming. Oh, wow.
Well, don't discount it. People think, I'm just being a fool or whatever, tricks of the mind. It's like, no. Get the ego and the personality out. Calm yourself. And if it's still there, pay attention.
Especially if you feel something like an earthquake. It doesn't cost you anything to drive up the hill, get to some elevation. If you're wrong, no big. You just got up and got a view of everything.
And also pay attention to the animals. Prior to the earthquake here in the Northwest, all the crows suddenly went quiet and hit the trees. They were just hanging on for dear life.
They're now saying that toads know 3 days before an earthquake hits. They start to hop away.
Friends of mine that are in that species. Okay, pay attention to them too. Yeah.
We go to Huntington. We go to Daytona Beach in Florida. Hunter is there with us. Hey, Hunter, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple things real quick for your comment. In Mexico, a year and a half or so ago, they had 20 high-value people they chipped, supposedly if they got kidnapped. And then also for money, I would go with the reloaders for 22 long rifles, use that for money, and hunting, and then short-distance communicators, rechargeable hand crank batteries, whatever, for your comment.
Yeah, actually, I think the ammunition idea, the ability to reload, makes you into the manufacturing of money business once the currencies and everything go. Because people that are not in the reloader business will come to you and say, hey, trade you this rabbit or whatever for a few shells.
Weren't they trying to clamp down on that, too?
Yeah, but there's a bunch of books out there. If you want to get them, you can manufacture your own black powder. It's not that difficult. I got a really nice book on manufacturing and explosives and how to do this kind of thing, because in the future it may be necessary for somebody to stand up and say, yeah, I know how to make black powder.
All right, thanks, Hunter. A couple more final calls. Marysville, California, west of the Rockies. Dorothy, go ahead.
Hey, you guys. I got a question.
Okay.
What do you foresee for people who are on Social Security? That's where I get most of my money is from Social Security income, and I was just wondering, do you foresee the government trying to take that over?
I think that you're going to be hit really hard, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. You're in a good position and you're in a bad position. The bad position is the fixed income facing a period of hyperinflation. How long the hyperinflation will last, I don't know. Now, the good position for you is that a lot of the people that are in Social Security now are those people that know how to do skills that are going to be very valuable. So the previous woman had mentioned getting her canning gear out. If you know how to can, there's a lot of people that would be willing to pay you to do this, to learn how to do this successfully. Those kind of skills will come back in. So as you're being squeezed by the social order and the hyperinflation, turn back to the things you know how to do and sell them to the younger generation that is absolutely clueless.
What is it? It's 66 where you can get your full benefits and still work in some kind of capacity?
It won't matter at that point.
No, they'll push that back even further.
No. My point is that at that point there won't be anybody to enforce this. The hyperinflation will be tearing the government apart. It'll be shedding parts of itself rapidly. That's where we're going to get a lot of whistleblowers as parts of NASA close down and people are just really disgusted and their pensions are not worth anything. They'll come on out and say, I'm not keeping this secret anymore if you're not paying me. So there's going to be huge social disruption around that will actually feed the disclosure and contact meme and that kind of thing. So what I'm saying is at the point that the hyperinflation occurs, whether or not you actually go in and teach a class on canning is not going to be any of the government's business, nor will they care. You'll be so far below their radar of what they care about. You should be able to, most of the country at that point will be in direct competition with the government for criminality.
What do you think your bot technology accuracy rate is? How high?
I won't speculate on that other than to say I think we're twice as good as chance, which means we're wrong about half the time. Sometimes we're spectacularly correct. I mean, we've had some hits that just blew me away, and I would go shaking, with my hands every time I touch the keyboard. Other times we're way off. So.
I was going to say, when you're off, is it way off or close?
Usually it's close. Usually we get it at the archetype level, like the disease at the Olympics. We got disease.
Right,
it just wasn't humans. It was within the food supply.
Good point. Ontario, Canada. Gus, let's squeeze you in. Go ahead, Gus.
Great. I'm glad I got it. I have a comment and then a question.
Sure.
You mentioned November being an important date. Now, in the Billy Meyer contact notes, he specified that November of this year or next year there's a good chance for World War III erupting with nuclear weapons. He also mentioned that
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm of the opinion that Billy Meyer is a fraud. That his photos and everything are hoaxed up, and I've been able to duplicate some of them myself rather easily.
Because there was traces of
that was never
radiation.
Substantiated in terms of the extraterrestrial physical contact. None of that was substantiated. It was all, again, part of the fraud. Sorry.
What is your webbot state about the fate of the Catholic Church with the scandal spreading to Europe?
Oh, it's going to be fried. Actually, in this report, we say religions bake, and the Catholic Church is in deep, deep trouble as a social organization. It will not survive 2012 and all the revolution meme between now and then. Yeah.
Wow. Well, the Catholic Church's chief exorcist has come out and said the devil made them do it.
And I'm quite sure that is the case, that there is a subcore. Again, the Catholic Church has been infiltrated, as have all of the organizations. That's why I won't belong to any organization, nor do I support an organization, because they can be infiltrated and redirected. So we have to organize in a different asymmetric manner as humans from this point on. And the Catholic Church indeed has a core of Luciferian nastiness that's going on, just as the Masons do and all of this stuff, and all traces back, and it goes up to the Rothschilds and then beyond that. And it's really screwy. It's this weird magic, what they call weird science and freaking magic. And because they use power symbols and do all these strange rituals, they believe that they can manipulate the universe, and to a certain extent they can, but it only goes so far, and it's a dead-end technology. But it is truly evil.
How do people get a hold of you folks? How do they get to your websites? Go ahead, George.
urbansurvival.com for mine, and Clif's is
halfpasthuman.com.
Very good. Thank you, you two. Let's continue to monitor the WebBot technology.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
George Ure, Clif High. Remarkable people telling us all a remarkable story. Not